Trump will order a plan to dismantle the education department. So obviously, this is illegal. The Department of Education is, an entity which is provided a budget and the expectation of operation in order to use that budget by Congress, power of the purse, et cetera, et cetera. The argument from the Trump administration has been for a while now, and will continue to be, that they can actually do whatever the hell they want. Okay, he keeps saying it, just do it, you coward. No. It's happening. Plans to sign executive order today calling for the dismantling of the U.S. Education Department, advancing a campaign promise to eliminate an agency that's been a longtime target of conservatives. Yeah, the administration actually isn't that old. 1979. It's a relatively young administration, and people on the right have wanted it gone for quite a while. I don't know when he's meant to sign it, though. A White House fact sheet said the order would direct Secretary Linda McMahon to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Department of Education and return educational authority to the states, while continuing to ensure the effective and uninterrupted delivery of services, programs, and benefits on which Americans rely. Trump's action will make the department much smaller than it is today, but it will continue managing federal student loans and Pell Grants. Okay, so it's not really getting rid of it. It's they're basically just trying to streamline it down to get rid of its ability to oversee curriculum requirements. They're lobotomizing it. Exactly. Oh, don't worry, guys. You get to keep your federal student loans. I know you're very keen on that part. Everyone's hoping they get rid of that, but yay. So universities are still getting funding? Well, not Columbia.
So today, President Trump pushing forward with his plan to abolish the Department of Education completely when he signs an executive order making it official. President Reagan was the first to call for this. Fox News contributor Bill Bennett served as Reagan's education secretary, and he joins us now. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Lawrence. How are you?
Hey, what's up?
So, good, brother. So this is a few things that are going to come out.
Him calling him brother. It's just funny. I don't know.
In this executive order, he's going to direct the education secretary to facilitate closures of departments. He's going to return education authority to the states, continue to ensure effective, uninterrupted delivery of services and programs and benefits, and he's going to prevent programs from receiving funds from advancing DEI or gender ideology. Is this a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing. In terms of far-reaching, I think what he's doing in higher ed may have a greater impact overall, but we'll see. There's a question as to whether he can send a lot of this back to the states, which is one of the main things they're doing, without congressional authority. These programs were created by the states, by the legislatures, federal legislature, and he may need their approval.
If he touches colleges, it's low-key over. I mean, he literally cut federal funding to Columbia as punishment for Columbia allowing the student protest to happen. It's definitely like that. This is only going to expand with time.
I would actually go one better, one tougher than the president. Instead of just sending it back to the states, send it back to the people. I mean, do you really want to give 15% of your grants to the state of California and say, do with this whatever you want? I don't think so. Why not send it directly to the people and let them, in the form of scholarships or grants or vouchers, whatever you want to call them, use it to take it to the school of their choice?
The real reason conservatives want this, or in fact, most of the educational reform they're interested in, obviously, you have to think of it from like priorities first. What do they want, right? Like what are conservatives interested in? Well, income inequality, right? They want racial inequality. They want education to be more accessible to wealthy and white people. It's one of the reasons they like private schools. It's one of the reasons they like charter schools. It's one of the reasons they like school vouchers. We've talked about all this in the stream before, but like basically the only way public education can work, like really work at a systematic level for everyone, like in a way that can endure for centuries or even millennia, is for everyone to basically go to the exact same school. Because the moment it's education, it's not just like a fun courtesy, like it's the bedrock of your entire life. If wealthy people get to go to a different school, they get set up for different opportunities, etc., etc. You want even level standards. And there are so many ways in which this system has been corrupted to prevent that. One of the most obvious of which being the fact that in many places schools are funded by property taxes, meaning that in areas with low property taxes, schools are shit. And in areas with high property taxes, schools are very much not shit. You know? Where I grew up in Beverly Hills, you would think that Beverly Hills High School is a phenomenal school. And don't get me wrong, it's not bad. But the real wealthy kids in Beverly Hills didn't go to Beverly Hills High School. They went to private schools. So in practice, Beverly Hills High School, while well-funded, was attended largely by non-wealthy students. Though, of course, there's variance there, obviously, you know. There's a lot of inequality in how people get sent around. School vouchers, school choice contributes to this a lot because it basically means like, oh, you know, you don't want your kid to get a bad education in this bad neighborhood. Well, I hope your parents are able to drive you an hour there and back every day to the school in the neighboring area that's nicer, therefore thereby depriving more resources from the bad school that you already go to. Rather than improving the school that you're at, you're basically just enabling like capital flight.
That's what I think I'd recommend. Additionally, Lawrence, if I may, you notice in all these discussions, we're always talking about the scores in math and reading.
Yeah.
One of the ways we do that is through the National Center for Education Statistics, which houses the NAEP, the National Assessment of Educational Progress. That's the place where we have the barometer that measures what our kids are learning. Don't throw that baby out with the bathwater, please.
Yeah, you were talking about those test scores, so let's get into some of that.
Wouldn't they want to centralize the indoctrination of kids with the American supremacy on the federal level BS? Well, here you have one of the contradictions, right? You have one of the contradictions of fascism, which is how do you promote a narrative of national and racial unity while also extending extreme privileges to the wealthy? And this is like a contradiction that's unresolvable because there is no such thing as like class equal fascism. And there's also no such thing as, you know, fascism unconcerned with indoctrination of national, racial, etc. unity. So you basically get like a blend of these two, right? You run into like issues. In our case, here in America, we're nowhere near national indoctrination to patriotic education. We're not even close. There are so many millions of people who go to school every year, you know. It's such an uphill battle. The teachers are overwhelmingly left-leaning. My guess right now is that the strategy is probably just going to be like, if you're poor, fucking die. That's my, like, I think that's the direction they've decided to take things in. They're just anti-educated proletariat, basically. Like, maybe they can't make every poor black kid in Atlanta, you know, in favor of white supremacy or whatever, you know, whatever uphill battle they want to climb. But they can make sure all of the important bureaucratic, governmental, and, you know, commercial jobs are occupied by people with the educational attainment necessary, aka people who went to a good school, aka not poor black people from Atlanta. Get what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
69% of fourth graders are below basic level. 70% of eighth graders are below the basic levels of math. 61% of fourth graders are below the basic level, and 78% of eighth graders are below the basic level. I mean, this is...
How do you plant white supremacy in black people? Well, it's clearly worked on at least one person.
A national tragedy. And I don't think it's a funding issue.
No, it's not. It's a national catastrophe. We have to raise our standards. So when you send this money back to the states, or to the people, if you do send it to the people, you're not going to have a problem with a Gavin Newsom. Parents are, for the most part, large part, are going to pick the right schools, and they're going to up the standards. Look what's happening around the country. Parents are starting these classical academies.
That's right. Schools
that want to teach the right things about character.
See, that's what they're describing here. You know, you have these fascistic, like, you know, homeschooling groups that really what they want to build are like educational centers catering towards far-right ideology. They want to pull money towards it. Often there are many accredited educational institutions in America that are explicitly far-right. They just get called like religious or charter schools, and your tax dollars pay them, you know.
Well as to love the country and math and reading. And the reading, of course, is critical by the third grade. The scores you cited, Lawrence, it's interesting, are pretty much the same as they were in 1979 before the department was established.
But the
So
funding
we've
has
gone
gone
about,
up.
You can expect these things to only get worse with time. Hold on, somebody link this. Chaos in campuses as schools warn Trump cuts could harm U.S. for decades. Oh, I don't doubt it. It's the Chinese century, after all. Now, this is more about cuts to federal funding for research and such and such. What about... Here, CBS, what do you have on this?
But we start this morning with President Trump, who's expected to sign an executive order this afternoon designed to be first steps in dismantling the Department of Education. He has signaled this move for weeks, but would still need congressional approval to fully shutter this government agency. So I want to bring in CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman. He's joining me now from the White House to talk about this. Willie James, the White House, questions over the president's authority to do this. What are we learning?
Hey there, Vlad. Good to be with you. Well, the White House says that this is about returning the power for education to the states. Now, it's unclear how the different types of funding that the Department of Education takes in will roll out to the states.
Why do they want to get rid of the department and not use it to their own ends? Because the Department of Education doesn't really have the ability to directly influence curriculum. Most of what the Department of Education does is like handling funding and expectations to how that funding is fulfilled, and also civil rights protections.
Once it's dismantled, but as you pointed out perfectly, the president would need Congress's support to be able to essentially end the Department of Education. This is something that the White House has telegraphed for weeks, as you mentioned as well, but this is the beginning stages, this executive authority to dismantle the Department of Education. Unclear if it will include job cuts as well. Remember, that is something that has already happened with half of the workforce at the Department of Education essentially fired. But the president making this announcement and signing this executive order.
So what, red states are going straight into the pooper? I want to hit you guys with a little bit of a black pill on what this could mean. And it's a little bit unfortunate, but you need to kind of reconcile with it. A system where most people get a really shitty education and only a small number of wealthy, privileged, often white or disproportionately white people get a decent enough education to go into the professional managerial fields, that's a stable system. For basically all of human history, there's been an immense disparity between a small number of people who get education and a large number of people who don't. Only recently, only in the past less than a century, really, has that disparity started to decrease. The gaps closed a bit. But if you take a look at like a place like Oklahoma, just a shit-ass state, very low in educational outcomes, that's not necessarily, even if you're a closed system, an unstable system. In fact, we're running into a problem, which is that like society needs a lot more manual and service laborers than it does professional laborers. Like, if everyone goes and gets a college education, you still need baristas, you still need service workers, call center workers, you still need janitors, whatever else. So a lot of those people are arguably getting an education for nothing, at least if the education is only being had for job attainment and not for, like, personal betterment. If it's for personal betterment, then no education is wasted. But even in, like, an idyllic, you know, futuristic socialist society, you probably still wouldn't have everyone who needs a college education for their job, right? Basically, what I'm saying is I don't know what natural forces are going to balance against this. Maybe outside of people's discontentedness with the poverty that realistically their grandparents and great-grandparents and so on would have just expected. You know?
For today at 4 p.m.
Right. So, again, we've been saying this, Willie James. Only Congress has the power to fully shutter the agency. So is this performative? I mean, people are certainly going to be laid off. We know that. That's going to be another case where government workers find themselves out of a job. That's not good for the economy. But when we talk about fully closing the Department of Education, what does that look like?
Yeah, well, part of it would require essentially moving different things such as student loans that are handled by the Department of Education, perhaps to the Treasury Department or the Commerce Department. That's not happening today, though. A White House official pointed out that student loans, assistance to school districts for low-income families and individuals with disabilities, those assistance programs will still continue to be handled by the Department of Education. The president isn't eliminating that today. As I mentioned, he will need Congress's buy-in. It's unclear if that'll actually happen with this Congress. This is something that Republicans have eyed that they want to happen, but this is the beginning stages, giving that power to the Education Secretary to begin dismantling the Department of Education as long as she can lawfully do so. Different.
Yeah. All right, I think we get it. I don't know at what time exactly that executive order is going to roll out, but we know what it's meant to do. That's so depressing. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. It's not ideal. Oh, are they finally signing it?
That come to an end, and I think we're doing pretty well in that regard. So hopefully we can save thousands of people a week from dying. That's
yeah, we'll start here. This isn't on CNN, by the way. This is just him being broadcasted from CNN.
And I'd like to start by saying that our country is doing very well. Things are, as you can see, doing quite well. Please sit down. Before we begin, I just want to announce that I signed a proclamation a few moments ago honoring the 250th anniversary of Patrick Henry's famous speech to the Second Virginia Convention, in which he declared very well-known, very famous words, "Give me liberty or give me death." Has anyone heard the phrase? I think most of you have. And moments ago, I also signed an executive order to dramatically increase production of critical minerals and rare earths. It's a big thing in this country, and as you know, we're also signing agreements in various locations to unlock rare earths and minerals and lots of other things all over the world. But in particular, Ukraine, we're doing very well with regard to Ukraine and Russia. And one of the things we are doing is signing a deal very shortly with respect to rare earths with Ukraine, which they have tremendous value in rare earth, and we appreciate that. And we spoke yesterday with, as you know, President Putin and President Zelensky, and we would love to see that come to an end, and I think we're doing pretty well in that regard. So hopefully we could save thousands of people a week from dying. That's what it's all about. They're dying so unnecessarily, and I believe we'll get it done. We'll see what happens, but I believe we'll get it done. Today we take a very historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education.
There we go.
Once and for all. And it sounds strange, doesn't it? Department of Education, we're going to eliminate it. And everybody knows it's right. And the Democrats know it's right, and I hope they're going to be voting for it, because ultimately it may come before them. But everybody knows it's right, and we have to get our children educated. We're not doing well with the world of education in this country, and we haven't for a long time. And we're pleased to be joined today by the woman who I chose because she's an extraordinary person, and hopefully she will be our last Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. Linda, thank you. Thank you very much. That's another interesting statement. It's an interesting opening, right? But it's true, and people, it's been amazing how popular this has been. I tell people that this is what I'm doing today, and they say, oh, it's about time. Everybody says it. Republicans and Democrats have said it.
Oh, yeah.
They're all saying it. Also with us are some terrific people. Governors Greg Abbott. Greg, thank you very much. Governor Ron DeSantis, thank you very much, Ron. Mike Braun, congratulations on your victory, Mike. That was a big one. Mike DeWine, thank you very much, Mike. Jeff Landry. Jeff, thank you very much, Jeff. Bill Lee, thank you.
Billy.
Governors, all governors. Brad
Billy.
Little. Brad, thank you very much. Where are you, Brad? Hi, Brad.
Brad.
Jim Pilan, thank you very much, Jim. And Kim Reynolds. These are all people very interested in education. And,
Education.
I even see Dan Patrick over there, my friend Dan Patrick. We're joined also by Representatives Tim Walberg and Virginia Fox, Rick Allen, Michael Rulli, and again, Dan Patrick. Thank you very much, Dan. You've been a great friend of ours. And State Attorneys General Ken Paxton. Ken, I see you there.
This presumably goes on for a while.
Cabinet, as well as the American Federation of Teachers, the New York Times editorial board, and the famed Democrat Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. History has proven them right, absolutely right. After 45 years, the United States spends more money on education by far than any other country, and spends likewise by far more money per pupil than any country, and it's not even close. But yet, we rank near the bottom of the list in terms of success.
So to improve, we're going to do the opposite of what all the countries that are better than us do.
The most money spent per pupil, and you're at the bottom of the list. And that's where we are, like it or not. And we've been there for a long time. 70% of 8th graders are not proficient in either reading or in math. 70%. 40% of 4th graders lack even basic reading skills, can't read.
He's describing the reason he won.
Students in our public elementary and middle schools score worse in reading today than when the department opened by a lot. In Baltimore, 40% of the high schools have 0 students who can do basic mathematics. Not even the very simplest of mathematics. I said, give me your definition of basic, and they're talking about like adding a few numbers together. Despite these breathtaking failures, the department's discretionary budget has exploded by 600% in a very short period of time, and it employs bureaucrats in buildings all over Washington, D.C. And as a former real estate person, I will tell you, I ride through the streets of Washington, and it says Department of Education, Department of Education. I said, how do you fill those buildings? It's crazy what's happened over the years. I'm pleased to report that after offering these federal employees 2 generous buyout options, and they were very generous, and they're good people, but they were very generous. My administration has initiated a reduction in force, and we're already cutting numbers that were really surprising to a lot.
Just going to
that
skip
we
ahead a
were
little
able
more.
to do today. A small handful of Democrats and others that we have employed for a long time, and there are some Republicans, but not too many, I have to be honest with you. But the department's useful functions, and such as, and they're in charge of them, Pell Grants, Title I funding, resources for children with disabilities and special needs will be preserved.
Oh, great news.
They're all going to be. So if you look at the Pell Grants, it's supposed to be a very good program, Title I funding and resources for children with special disabilities.
When did Trump get so boring to listen to? He's like this whenever he's reading from the script.
They're going to be preserved in full and redistributed to various other agencies and departments that will take very good care of them. And that's very important to Linda, I know, and it's very important to all of us. But beyond these core necessities, my administration will take all lawful steps to shut down the department. We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states where just some of the governors here are so happy about this. They want education to come back to them, to come back to the states, and they're going to do a phenomenal job. You know, if you look, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, I have to tell you, I give them a lot of credit. China's top 10. And so we can't now say that bigness is making it impossible to educate, because China is very big. But you have countries that do a very good job in education. And I really believe, like some of the governors here today, from states that run very, very well, including a big state like Texas, but states that run very well are going to have education that will be as good as Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and those top Finland, those top countries that do so well with education. I think they'll do every bit as well. And what do you think about that, Governor? Do you agree? I think so. Ron, do you agree? I think so. Florida, Iowa. That's right. I really believe that. They'll be as good as any of them. And then you'll have some laggards, and we'll work with them. And we can all tell you who the laggards will be right now, probably, but let's not get into that. But we'll work with them, and we're going to make them, they'll do a job.
An old man word right there.
And they'll go to sections of the state. For instance, New York, you'll have a Manhattan, and you'll have a Suffolk County, and you'll have Nassau County, and you'll have Westchester County. You'll do 4 or 5 or 6 of them. You have upstate New York, and those counties, I think, are going to do very well. And I think ultimately Manhattan should do very well. But we'll break it down into sections, and I think it'll be really, really good. And they're going to be probably the tougher ones, but I think they have a chance to do really well. But we're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs, and this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do, and it's going to work. Absolutely, it's going to work. And I can tell you from dealing with the governors and others in the state, they want it so badly. They want to take their children back and really teach their children individually. Probably the cost will be half, and the education will be maybe many, many times better. So we look forward to this. I want to just make one little personal statement. Teachers, to me, are among the most important people in this country, and we're going to take care of our teachers. And I don't care if they're in the union or not in the union. That doesn't matter. But we're going to take care of our teachers, and I believe the states will take actually better care of them than they are taken care of right now. They'll work all sorts of systems and even merit systems. Those great teachers are going to be maybe a little bit better rewarded, or maybe that's the way it should be. But the states are going to make that decision.
I know this is.
We're going to love and cherish our teachers.
I know this is intensely boring, but you have to remember all of this is going to get archived in like the history books as the speech that got rid of the Department of Education. So listen, by memorizing it now, you'll be able to correct your children when they have really important history questions on this.
Along with our children, and they're going to work with the parents, and they're going to work with everybody else, and it's going to be an amazing thing to watch, and it's really going to be something special. And Linda, you're presiding over something that's so important, and you're going to do a fantastic job, just like you have your whole life. I know your whole life I've been watching you. I've been watching you for a long time. She's had nothing but success. So it's tremendous to have you, and hopefully you won't be there too long, but we're going to find something else for you, Linda, okay? So this will conclude what we are talking about with respect to our most cherished group of people, and that's our children. We want to have our children well educated. We want them to love going to school. We have examples of it. Look at those beautiful, bright-eyed faces. They are so smart. They're so smart. And with that, I'm going to come down, and we're going to sign a very important document, and we're going to be on our way. People have wanted to do this for many, many years, for many, many decades. And I don't know, no president ever got around to doing it, but I'm getting around to doing it. So thank you very much.
You guys feeling amped up? All this government inefficiency finally being purged? Do you think the older students here feel awkward because, like, they just got students of different age ranges, so they have two, like, I don't know, 17, 16, whatever, year-olds, and then next to them are, like, babies?
I think so. We have pens for you, too.
Like, most of the students here are, like, 5.
I'll take this one out. I had one that was very lucky. I signed another document that turned out to be very good for the country, and I said, let's use that same pen. I don't know, is anybody superstitious? Ron, are you superstitious? Let's use that same pen. Okay.
Historic stuff, really. Chills. Chills.
Can you come up just to say, come on up? That's good. It's very important. Yeah, big factor here. Good luck. Good luck, Lynn. Thank you, everybody, very much. Good luck.
What's in the EO? Trump has established prima nocta for himself and school children. That's in the EO. It's quite scary. Okay, we're playing the clown music now. That's good. God, there's always so much to cover.